Hi, I'm Hugh Bonneville. I'm about to take you on a journey into the heart of southern England, to an ancient forest that's changed little since the last ice age. Its woodlands and heaths are full of wildlife, among them 5 different species of deer. That's why, back in the 11th century, William the Conqueror, then King of England, claimed these lands as his own private hunting ground. I can remember coming here as a child and marveling at the sight of wild ponies galloping across the heath. You're about to witness one of Britain's treasures, the real magic of a year in the New Forest. This is a special land, a place of gentle mists, alive with the atmosphere of days gone by. Where the dragon-eyed goshawk rules the evergreen canopy from its lofty nest. And the understory below is home to bold fox cubs and fighting fallow deer. It's a special place to grow up in. But Old England can spring many a surprise for these children of the New Forest. Weather is fickle and can change in an instant. Like wild creatures everywhere, these animals will need more than luck to see them through this one magical year in the Crown's ancient forest. Sometimes March can bring a breath of spring, but not this year. A freezing blast from the east forces the wild ponies into a huddle. These compact little horses embody the spirit of the forest. They're all mares, and most are expecting spring foals. Ponies have lived here for thousands of years. They're a distinct breed native to southern England. They shape the landscape by grazing, keeping the clearings open and the trees in check. The ponies await the return of spring and a reawakening of the heathland. April is just around the corner. A chestnut mare pulls away from the herd, seeking solitude. Heavy with foal, she's heading into the heart of the wood. In the quiet, secret hours of the morning, her foal is born. Just hours old, the newborn shivers in the chill of this special morning. He's vulnerable lying like this. He rises shakily. And first touch seals their special bond. This young pony is one of a lucky band. Not many foals get to run wild in a rich place like this. His home, the New Forest National Park, nestles in southern England, not far from London. It's a patchwork of ancient woodland, boggy areas known as mires, and the largest area of rare lowland heath in all of Western Europe. Covering over 150 square miles, it stretches from Salisbury Plain to the Solent Strait, which joins the English Channel. It was originally established as a royal hunting ground by the 11th century kings of England. There's no hunting here anymore, but the land remains unploughed and unfenced, enabling all animals to roam freely. People make a living here too. They're called the commoners, locals who've inherited an ancient right to graze their livestock in the forest. 3,000 head of cattle are in their charge. They also own the free-ranging ponies, more than 5,000 of them. Most male ponies have just 1 year to run wild and free before being rounded up and taken off the forest. Only a handful of stallions will be selected to run with the mares and sire foals of their own, but that's a long way off for now. As the rising sun breathes much-needed warmth into the wild wood, it's time for mother and foal to meet the herd, their close kin. How the colt develops now will determine his future. The early signs are good. He seems confident, walking and trotting well. In William the Conqueror's day, he would have needed this pace to outrun predators like wolves and lynx. But they're long gone. There's peace in the forest today. Spring is still proving cold in the New Forest this year, but nothing can halt the advance of the breeding season. Hidden in a towering stand of conifers, a rare goshawk, the bird with dragon-red eyes, warms her 3 newly hatched chicks. In the cool air, their soft down isn't enough to protect them for long without her. Piercing calls alert her to her partner's return. The New Forest is a goshawk stronghold. Close to 5% of the entire UK population lives here. For the first 2 weeks of the chicks' lives, the burden of hunting falls entirely on the much smaller male. His territory spans more than 14 square miles of conifer forest and ancient oak woods. His every moment is focused on providing for his family. A favorite of falconers, his ancestors would have flown with royal hunting parties here. It's his second kill of the day. Just days old, the chicks aren't strong enough to feed themselves. But even now, they're in a serious competition with each other. If the food supply decreases, the smallest will perish. Already, the firstborn dominates. The male must keep hunting to keep all three alive. The foal is now 2 days old. Still stiff from 11 months in the womb, he's finding his legs. There's a whole new world out there to explore. A character is already emerging. He's bright and curious. Good signs. Young horses eat solid food early, almost as soon as they can walk. But learning what's good is a matter of trial and error. Not every plant tastes as good as it smells. Pine needles are aromatic, but too spiky for a young mouth. Foxglove is deadly, best to avoid. These days of fun and games won't last long. His time under his mother's protection is limited. To ensure his place in the forest, he needs to build strength and spirit fast. The heady smell of wild garlic signals warmer days. A herd of female fallow deer and their yearlings hide deep in the wild wood. They're a tight family unit, generations strong. For now, they keep their distance from the bucks. Many will soon give birth. Hunted here for over 1,000 years, they still need to be cautious. Nearby, a dog fox has hungry mouths to feed. He's no threat to the does, but a fox can take a newborn fawn. Playing in the shadow of their oak tree den, his 7-week-old cubs are just beginning to make sense of their world. With 5 youngsters, the challenge for this family is finding enough food to go round. Like the goshawks, these siblings are in a fight for survival. Already one cub dominates and has earned the right to eat first. As storm clouds build, the fickle spring weather makes raising a family all the more difficult. Prolonged cold and wet can kill vulnerable youngsters. The chestnut mare leads her foal into the lee of the woods, trying to protect him from the approaching storm. Winds lash the forest with brutal gusts, 40 miles an hour strong. Rocking in their large tree nursery, there's real danger for the goshawk chicks. Nests are lost every year in spring storms like this one. With dawn, calm returns to the new forest. The goshawk's choice of nest site, protected by the encircling canopy, has seen the chicks through the overnight storm. For these rare hawks, once persecuted almost to extinction by 19th century gamekeepers, each youngster is precious. But at the forest's edge, the storm has claimed a victim. A bereaved mother calls for her lost young. Just a few feathers are all that remain of her brood. But one family's tragedy is another's good fortune. This scavenged meal could offer a lifeline to the fox family. In May, the wild woods transform with a carpet of sweet bluebells. The bracken grows tall, giving cover to a newly born fallow deer. The fawn will stay here almost motionless for at least a week. The mother keeps her distance, ensuring the hiding place remains secret. Her bark warns the newborn. Danger. Hidden in the bracken, the fallow deer fawn is downwind of the fox, so can't be detected by smell. She must simply lay low. The dog fox's struggle to hunt is having serious consequences. 5 cubs have now become 3. Now 9 weeks old, the cubs will soon be weaned. The dominant cub's natural tenacity is already forging his destiny. He'll be the first to feed if his father finds success elsewhere. The dog fox may have failed in the forest, but perhaps the open heath will yield better results. For a few months, ground nesting birds are easy pickings here. The New Forest is one of the few places in the south of England where curlews come to breed. Their nests no more than a depression on the ground. But as their numbers decline due to habitat loss and human disturbance, it's getting harder for the fox. Curlews aren't the only rarity here. The lowland heath is a sanctuary for many creatures that depend on this habitat. A rare sand lizard hides in a miniature forest of early flowering heather. Fresh from his spring molt and adorned with a smartly burnished skin of vivid green, this male is hoping to impress a female. A wiggle of her tail signals she's ready, and their courtship begins with a rapid pursuit. He bites her, a signal he's ready to mate. As their name suggests, the lizards lay their eggs in patches of sandy soil. She'll bury them there to be warmed by the sun's rays in the first leg of their cold-blooded journey through life. By June, the foal is looking less like a baby. Now 2 months old and increasingly independent, he's learning to socialize. In a foretaste of what's to come, he tries to dominate a young filly. They may be reunited in the future, but only if the young male makes the grade. Each year, the commoners pick just a handful of colts to raise as breeding stock to maintain the pure New Forest bloodline. These adult stallions are let loose in the forest for 9 weeks only to sire the next generation. The young foal's future will be decided long before his first birthday. A 100 feet up in their conifer nursery, the 3 goshawk chicks are doing well. So far, food supplies have been good this year. They're all a decent size, and adult feathers are now peeping through their down. The demands are growing on the parents. Both adults now hunt round the clock from the farthest limits of their territory. the male brings in a young robin. Then head straight back out to hunt in the distant oak woods. Hunting further afield ensures that when the chicks finally fledge, they'll have a ready supply of prey close to the nest. The summer solstice is fast approaching. With the forest at its most verdant, the rule of light is now in the ascendant. After weeks of concealment, the fallow deer fawn finally emerges from the bracken. In a woodland clearing, the sisterhood of does welcomes her into the herd. Gathered with the other youngsters in a forest creche, many eyes will watch over her. These days will be the most carefree of the fawn's lives. It's early July, and the forest is drying out. No rain has fallen for nearly a month. As the sun sucks moisture from the earth, the mare's herd gathers at one of the last reliable water sources, a valley bog known as a mire. These lowland mires formed at the end of the last ice age. They're some of the last of their kind in Europe. The lifeblood of the new forest, this primeval world stays waterlogged year-round. In the acidic water here, organic matter no longer breaks down and over time forms peat. The mires offer rich hunting grounds for waders like snipe, and they're home to almost 30 different species of damsel and dragonflies. As temperatures soar, the mare and foal seek out shade in the conifer forest. Lethargic in the heat, the colt has barely enough energy to wipe away the flies. Nearby, the goshawk family has continued to prosper despite the heat. All 3 chicks are still thriving. Their white down has now been almost completely replaced with flight feathers. Wing muscles are getting stronger, and the nest edge wobbles have turned into longer hops with a more assured sense of balance. All 3 are starting to make short practice flights. At this age, their sexes become clearer. The single, smaller male carefully keeps his distance from his larger, more aggressive sisters. To encourage their brood to fly, the parents now limit their food drops. But they'll keep a close watch on them, even once they've fledged, and still bring them an occasional meal. This squirrel may be one of the last offerings given at the nest, The bickering continues, with the biggest female chick claiming the prize. The little male loses out again, but his days of being picked on are almost over. Soon he'll try hunting for himself. It's now Midsummer's Day, and the sun endures for 16 hours. It's time to go. A new generation of dragon-eyed hawks stakes its claim to the hunting ground of kings. Their parents have done exceptionally well to raise 3 chicks this year. A welcome addition for a species once on the brink. After weeks of intense heat, the drought finally breaks, quenching the Earth's thirst. The foal seems to frolic in sheer joy, reveling at the sensation of sweet, cooling rain. The stallion in him is really emerging now. Headstrong and powerful. It's time for the mare to slowly wean him off her milk. The carefree playtime of summer is nearly over. He's just 2 months away from the roundup that will decide his future. The rain triggers one of the national park's most spectacular transformations. The blooming of the heather. It offers a rich source of nectar for insects like the rare silver-studded blue butterfly. The ponies graze here too, helping to keep the heathland open and the forest at bay. Finally free of his sisters, the male goshawk fledgling is already confidently hunting here. Tiny, newly hatched sand lizards need to keep their wits about them. But it's likely the young hawk's future lies far from the new forest. The thriving goshawk population here means he will almost certainly seek out a realm of his own elsewhere, possibly hundreds of miles away. The thunder of hooves brings summer to an end. It's September, and the commoners have returned for the annual roundup. Called the Drift, more than 30 take place across the forest. It's a tradition started 5 centuries ago, when Tudor England faced the threat of invasion. With extra horses needed, new forest ponies were rounded up by royal command and pressed into service for the defense of the realm. Today, the drifts enable the commoners to check their ponies' health and to remove some of the colts from the forest. Many will become riding ponies. For now, the foal escapes, but his time in the forest is running out. As days shorten, temperatures fall. The forest transforms into a sea of gold. It's a time of plenty in the ancient woods. Beech, hazel, and oak shed fruit to offer up a forest floor banquet. But too many green acorns can poison the ponies. Fortunately, help is at hand. Pigs have much stronger stomachs. Across the forest, the commoners release hundreds of them every September in a tradition known as the pannage. Pigs and ponies aren't the best of friends, but the horses have to live with these piggy neighbours for 60 days. Wise to the acorn's poison, pigs gobble up the nutritious nuts, but spit out their toxic skins. The foal has never seen a pig before and is not at all sure about them. But it seems the pigs are in a playful mood, so the ponies will need to get used to their antics, for the next few weeks at least. Concealed in the fading bracken, a young fox gives both pigs and ponies a wide berth. In search of earthworms, he hunts alone. Likely the sole survivor of the litter born in the oak wood earlier in the year. The biggest challenge for this youngster lies ahead: to find a home of his own. Woodland territories are fiercely contested in the new forest. But as the strongest cub of the litter, hopefully his tenacity will see him through. As the days shorten, one of the new forest's greatest natural spectacles begins. The fallow deer rut. Roaring and strutting, the mature bucks march to their rutting stands, just as they have since the days of the medieval kings. Fawns need to be wary, A collision with a 170-pound buck could be fatal. The bucks, surging with hormones, tried desperately to claim the prime patch of the lecking ground. Battle commences. A bout like this can last for over an hour. Sheer attrition has worn the challenger down. The victor holds firm, marking the ground with his scent, staking his claim to the forest rutting stand. The old buck has barely slept for days. Each female is only in season for 24 hours. Over the coming weeks, he will attempt to mate with as many does as he can, starving himself. There's no time to feed. By the end of the rut, the bucks are utterly spent. Many are injured. It will take them months to recover. As winter descends, another rich year in the New Forest draws to a close. The fallow deer have separated once again, many of the does now carrying the old buck's bloodline into the future. The goshawks, with the dragon-red eyes, will soon reclaim their canopy nest to prepare for another brood. Perhaps one day their fledglings will return to claim these forests as their own. Out on the heath, the stallion colt awaits his destiny. Independent, brave, and strong, his days in the New Forest will soon come to an end. But he may yet return as a proud stallion, galloping free in this exquisite, timeless forest, the ancient hunting ground of kings. We've had a glimpse into the secret lives of so many animals here in the forest. It really is a wonderful haven for British wildlife. But increasingly, this landscape is under pressure. The New Forest is one of Britain's most popular national parks, with an astonishing 15 million visitors each year. These numbers can disturb the animals and damage their ancient habitats. So please, let's all play our part in protecting this magical place for future generations to enjoy.